Benjamin Franklin, America's Greatest Diplomat, by Sullivan. Greetings. I am Benjamin Franklin, a scientist and inventor, famous for saying such remarks as an apple a day keeps the doctor away, or a penny saved is a penny earned. It is May 10th, 1775. I am a delegate from Pennsylvania on my way to a very important meeting, the Second Continental Congress at the Pennsylvania State House. You see, there's been quite a bit of trouble between the American colonies and England. Let me take you back to when I was an elected representative of the Pennsylvania Assembly, and I was asked to go to London as a colonial agent. I would advise and petition the governing bodies in England about changing old laws or creating new ones. Every colony had a man in London. I set sail for England on June 20th, 1757, on a diplomatic endeavor. My official grievance involved property taxes of the wealthy Penn family who refused to pay their fair share. After 3 years of haggling, they finally agreed to pay the lowest possible tax rate on some of their land, rendering my mission only partially successful. I sailed home on June 20th, 1762. However, I returned again in November 1764. This time, it would be 10 years before I would return home, and while I was in England, America readied for revolution. We were already taxed on sugar and coffee, but the real trouble started with the Stamp Act. Documents such as newspapers, magazines, marriage licenses, even playing cards needed this stamp. My job was to debate and convince Parliament to repeal the Stamp Act. I finally got my chance in January 1764. I stood before the House of Commons and was asked 174 questions. What was the temper of Americans toward Great Britain for the year 1763? I replied, the best in the world, and added particular details. And what is their temper now? Oh, very much altered. Yes, things had changed. I was instrumental in getting the Stamp Act repealed, but I knew the real issue was not the tax. The British government believed it had the right to do whatever it chose, and unrest was everywhere in the colonies. After my success regarding the Stamp Act, Georgia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts made me a colonial agent to represent them in London. Meanwhile, back home, a group called the Sons of Liberty were organizing a resistance. No taxation without representation. When news of the Boston Tea Party reached England, London's rage against the colonies was centered on me. I was accused of being a know-it-all who dared to act like the minister of a foreign independent state. I knew my usefulness as a colonial agent had ended. Stupid, irrational, corrupt men were in power. What room was there for reason, I asked myself. I've become an alien in London. I am too much of an American to stay any longer. But my humiliation in Britain had made me a popular figure in every part of America. I returned home in April 1775, just in time to attend this important meeting. As we convened, word is spreading that the Battle of Lexington and Concord has started the Revolutionary War. As the fighting continued, I lost all hope of reaching a compromise. I've been chosen to serve on a committee with 4 others to draft a Declaration of Independence. The draft, written by Jefferson, to which I contribute small changes, is adopted on July 4th, 1776. When signing the formal document on August 2nd, I tell my fellow members of Congress, gentlemen, we must now all hang together, or we will most assuredly hang separately. I've just heard that a British fleet has entered New York Harbor and British troops have landed to take on Washington's army. Congress has asked me to help negotiate a treaty of alliance with France. I'm 70 years old, and the task is difficult. However, I am willing to serve my country. I'm on my way to the court of King Louis XVI, although the French government cannot formally receive me as a diplomat. I've been appointed to serve our newly formed country, the United States of America, as an ambassador. We want to be recognized as an independent, sovereign nation, and it is my job to secure foreign aid and military support. It is December 3rd, 1776. France is still bitter about its defeat during the French and Indian War and losing much of its vast empire in North America. Although France is secretly helping the colonists, I pressed the French Foreign Minister, Charles Gravier-Bergeon, for a treaty and for ships, muskets, and ammunition. If only Washington could secure a major victory, it would be enough to turn any European ally to the colonies. In Paris, I am called Bonhomme Richard, which translates Good Man Richard, in honor of my famous almanac. It takes humor, patience, tact, and all my energy and understanding of people and politics to work as a successful negotiator. I say noble things like, our cause is the cause of all mankind. We are fighting for their liberty and defending our own. Real negotiations aren't accomplished at the negotiating table, but at the dinner table. I'm invited to dine abroad every day, and I never decline. In a letter to a friend, I wrote, "Figure me in your mind, as jolly as formerly, and as strong and hearty, only a few years older, very plainly dressed, wearing my thick gray straight hair that peeps out under a fine fur cap, which comes down my forehead, almost to my spectacles. Think how this must appear among the powdered heads of Paris." I received word from America that British General Burgoyne surrendered on October 17, 1777. This is a major victory for the Continental Army. I hurry to Vergennes, but he refuses to sign any alliance unless Spain also signs. Spain objects, stating that aligning itself with the revolution of American colonies might spark a revolt in its own colonies in Central and South America. So I resort to a little trickery. I openly meet with a British spy, hoping that the French might get worried I was negotiating with England, since they did not want to see an alliance between America and Britain. My plan is successful, and when Vergennes finds out about my meeting, he's ready to sign a treaty of alliance. In March 1778, King Louis XVI receives me at the Palace of Versailles as an official ambassador from America. Parties are given in my honor. News has just reached Paris that British General Cornwallis, outnumbered by Washington and the French forces led by Rochambeau and Lafayette, surrendered at Yorktown on October 19, 1781, ending the war. How I wish my duties were over and I could return home, but now I must lead peace negotiations between the British government and the colonies. I'm joined by John Jay and John Adams, who helped me to thrash out the details. I'm tough and unyielding. My necessary negotiating points are the colony's complete independence from Britain, the evacuation of all British troops in America, and a determination of the boundaries with Canada. I recommend the following: cash payments to America for the cost of conducting war, the turnover of Canada to America, an agreement for free trade without taxes between America and Britain, and last but not least, a formal apology from Britain to America. The British accept my necessary requirements, and the Treaty of Paris is signed on September 3, 1783. May we never see another war, for in my opinion, there was never a good war or a bad peace. I received permission from Congress to return to America. I have spent almost 9 years in France. I landed in Philadelphia in September 1785, where large crowds greet me. I shall now be free of politics for the rest of my life. Welcome again, my dear philosophical amusements. However, it is not to be. The Articles of Confederation written during the Second Continental Congress are too weak to bind our new nation together. Congress decides to draft a new, stronger constitution for the United States, and I, at the age of 81, have been asked to serve once again as a delegate to what is being called the Constitutional Convention. We meet in May 1787. It takes 4 months for us to hammer out a plan, but most delegates are unhappy with it. They find fault with some issues regarding their individual state. We must be united and unanimous. On the day the Constitution is to be voted on, I ask for the floor. I cannot help expressing a wish that every member of the convention, who may still have objections to it, would, with me, on this occasion, doubt a little of his own infallibility, and to make manifest our unanimity, put his name to this instrument. The Constitution is accepted and signed, and becomes the law of our new nation on March 4th, 1789. Although I have had some failures, the consequences of my debate in diplomacy as a delegate here in America and as an envoy in both England and France has successfully contributed to the formation of a strong United States of